Now, the real reason to why 99% of amateur golfers can't stop doing this, flipping through impact. And this is something that gets ignored by amateurs, but coaches alike as well. Because flipping through the golf ball isn't just happening because of a poor concept or golfers trying to move through the golf ball incorrectly. It's more because of what they're doing earlier in their golf swing. Flipping is just the effect of something that we see happening earlier in the golf swing. So we could do so many drills to try and get ourselves into, let's say, a good shaft length position, hands ahead at impact, getting that nice compression, even having the club face be a little bit more stable. We could do that all day long. But if we don't fix the root cause issues, we are going to be absolutely wasting our time like 99% of golfers do. So let's get into the main reasons of why golfers do this and actually fix it for good. Now let's get into these three main reasons that I see on a daily basis that cause this flip. Number one is your club face is way too open in your swing. So let's say here in my takeaway, if my toe of my club is pointing up towards the sky, that means the club face is open to the swing arc. We swing on an arc around us. We need that club face to be tracing that arc nicely and matching up with it. So if our toe is up, the club face is open. So if we try to have a good movement going through the golf ball in regards to what the shaft is doing, let's say a little bit of shaft lean there, the club face is going to be hugely open. So this is a topic I talk about a ton on my channel here. If the club face is open, you're not going to move nicely going through the golf ball. You're not going to have that shaft lean, not going to have that good rotation. You're going to end up stalling rotation and flipping going through the golf ball because that squares the face. So again, you will not be able to fix flipping if, let's say you're a golfer who has an open club face, which is most of you with this problem, if you don't fix this. So why do golfers have an open club face? Is because their grip is normally too poor or they've got a faulty takeaway movement. So that's why I see a lot of golfers with this problem have either their left hand a little bit too weak, which is actually the least common one, where we see 1 to 1.5 knuckles on the left hand. That would absolutely open up the club face. But most commonly, people forget about this hand, the trail hand. And that's where they'll see the line between thumb and the meat of the hand will point up towards their face or left side. So that is a very weak right hand grip. That is going to cause the club face to open up because that's going to cause you to have a lot of what we call supination of that right forearm. Open up the face, nasty, then we have to whoosh, flip through the golf ball. So let's get those hands nice and neutral, 2.5 knuckles on that left hand, and with the right hand there, line between thumb and the meat of the hand towards right shoulder. That's going to then help us as we move back to get that club face nice and square to the spine angle. If we've got a good takeaway movement, as we're moving back, we want the underside of our left forearm to be moving more up towards the sky, pointing diagonally up behind us. That's what we want. We don't want it here rolling in that pronated position, underside of forearm down towards the ground, because even if we do have a good grip there, the club face is going to open up. So we need nice neutral takeaway, getting that good grip, that's going to get that club face square. And then absolutely from there, we're then allowed to turn, to present good angles through the golf shot and not flip it, which I'm going to give you a great drill to feel this at the end of the video. But other than just tweaking our grip and making it good, here is a good little drill to make sure once you've got that good grip, to make sure you're getting the takeaway nice. This is one I give to so many of my students. It's just grab an alignment stick, have the alignment stick coming right up here on the left-hand side and just have it touching your side and slide it down your left side as you're coming back and just rehearse this movement. That's going to give you that neutral takeaway. Hands are going to go in, club's going to go either slightly out or on the hand line, be absolutely fine. Club face, matching spine angle, nice and square. So rep that out a ton, because if you do a poor takeaway movement, you can see the stick detaches from the side. That's no good when it's sliding down. There we go. And then what do? We can replicate that same feel. Do a couple rehearsals like you see the top players in the world. There we go. And then get that into the golf ball. So the second reason to why golfers can't stop flipping going through the golf ball is they are adding too much wrist hinge early in their backswing. So they are coming into their takeaway and just hinging their wrists directly upwards. So this is called technically too much radial deviation of the wrist, hinging upwards. Okay, so radial deviation hinging up, ulnar deviation hinging down. So when we have too much upward hinge, we set the wrists way too early and too much. Again, having a little bit, of course, upward wrist hinge is absolutely great, which we'll talk about. But if we do it too much too early, as we start swinging back, the club gets really narrow to us. and we end up getting a lot of cup or extension in that left wrist. So as soon as we start moving up, we can see the real extended cup left wrist position, and the club ultimately gets, again, still too narrow to us at the top. It's almost at my right shoulder. So for example, if a player kept all that structure and they turned down nicely and tried to get a little bit of shaft lean to not flip at it, their club is going to be elevated off the ground. They're probably going to top it. But two, because of the opening nature of the club face that's going to cause due to the cup in the left wrist, club face is hugely open. It's pointing way to the right there. So what players would generally do, again, no matter how hard they try to stop doing this movement, they will still do it in order to hit the golf ball. They would get the club moving further away from it in a downswing, throwing it, casting it, just to get that club into the ground again. Because I said, if you hinge too early, too much radial deviation, gets the club closer to you, too narrow. When the club is narrow to you, the swing arc has raised up off the ground. So you need to find a way to get that club back on the arc, down into the ground again. So that's why throwing, getting the club moving wider away for you. What does that look like at impact? A flip. But of course, the club face will be open because of the effect of cupping. And again, that will incentivize you, just like before, to flip through that golf ball. So our fix for this is absolutely calming down the amount of upward hinge we have in that first move. Now, having a little bit of wrist hinge, a little bit of radial deviation there is brilliant. We want that. We can't not have that. So that's where, if we now come into our backswing, and what I tell a lot of my students is, imagine there is someone laying on the ground just around, let's say, a club's distance behind them. So of course you would not be laying down there. But what you want to do, you want to give them a thumbs up as you're going back. If you had too much wrist hinge, you'd be giving behind you a thumbs up. So if you're coming back there with a nice neutral takeaway like we talked about just earlier, a little thumbs up there, and make sure as you're doing that, you're feeling a little bit of width. So what does that mean? That the club is traveling a little bit further away from you, not further away from you as in pushing out, as in still moving on the arc, but out away. So thumbs up to someone on the ground and moving a little bit more away there. So now that is a really good takeaway and hinge movement. So that's going to then start the sequencing of having an adequate amount of hinge, which is absolutely great. We'll be very unlikely to overhinge from there. We'll most likely stop at a nice spot, which that left arm parallel to the ground. Good checkpoint is to see whether you're at a nice L position here. So of course, bottom part of the L, and then of course the top part of the L here. If we're a golfer who overhinges, we're not going to get an L position, that's for certain. So that's going to get you into a great spot, just having that nice width, thumbs up towards the ground, like there's someone laying on the ground behind you. And then from there, you don't have to try to do anything, which is good. If you swing up to the top, you're going to have decent width between body and club. If you start the downswing really nicely, the club is then going to get a little bit closer, a little bit of lag, and then you can just turn on the golf ball into a good spot. You've got to think, we're in that good, nice hinge position there, not over hinging. The left wrist is now flat, it's not cupped. So that club face is lovely and square, but also the swing arc, the height of the swing has been maintained, so we don't have to throw to get back into it again. Again, a good drill to feel the movement of having a good movement through the golf ball to create and get rid of the flip is a very important part, which we're going to talk about at the end of the lesson. But knowing here exactly what to do to fix the reason behind is what we want. So, of course, drill here, thumbs up, and all we want to do, swing up and swing through. That is nicely going to get rid of the root cause of the flip for number 2. Okay, so number 3. So absolutely, this is a really common one. And after this point, we are getting into a brilliant drill, which I bet you have not seen anywhere to fix the flip course, which works once you get these 3 points, again, out of your swing and doing the right thing. So number 3 is coming out of posture. So coming out of posture where our upper body, as we're moving down, is moving up and away. So just like before, when we had that real narrow backswing and had to throw the club to get that club back into the ground again, similar concept. If you are standing the body up, the swing, so going more up and away, coming out of posture, the swing moves up off the ground. The radius of the swing gets further away from the earth. So again, if you're coming up out of posture and you're trying to maintain angles, again, you are absolutely going to hit the top of the ball, most likely. But also, when we stand the body up, this is something a lot of people don't know. Really important to guys who suffer hitting the ball out towards the right as well. When the body stands up, the hands raise. When the hand's raised, the club face opens. So when players come out of posture, let's say early extension guys, know that you absolutely, if you don't have to flip or kind of really quick roll release through, you're most likely going to hit the ball towards the right. Upper body going up, raises hands, opens face. So one big reason, upper body moving up, you've got to find a way to get that club back into the ground again by throwing angles to make the swing wider into the ground. That's one reason of why you would flip from doing that. But also because the club face, like we said, when we stand in the body more up, the club face opens up more. So then we would have to really fire the hands and flip going through the golf ball to be able to square it. So not the best thing to do if we want to, of course, not flip. So absolutely, if we stay in posture, have that upper body more flexed down, which is going to mean the pelvis is also going to move back, which is great for the early extenders. Then we can have that swing height maintained. We don't have to do anything to throw the club back in to get the swing into the ground. We can then just continue to turn. The club face, of course, is going to stay nice and square. Nothing with our body has manipulated that club face open. So then, of course, we can just turn through and then have some nice, lovely little bit of shaft lean, good little bit of compression staying down. Tough thing to train. I've got a full, absolute course on this, which is the masterclass to early extension, which is in the absolute video description here. All the root causes to early extension. There's a lot of reasons why players do it. It's very rarely they just do it, or almost never they do it for the sake of it. It's kind of like flipping. So have a good watch that if you want to go and have a look at that. So, but a great drill to feel the body crunching down, which is of course flexion, opposite to extension, opposite coming out of posture, is grab an alignment stick, put the stick underneath the right arm, just like so. And then what we do, you can see quite a lot of the stick comes out on the front here. And then we get this stick pointing down towards the ground as we're turning through. That ensures that our body is more crunched down, because if we now come out of posture, you can see the stick which is touching my left arm. See how now it gets and points right in front of us. So we want the stick to point down towards the ground. As we move through impact, it will nicely just move away the left arm wheel from this stick, but still pointing towards the ground. That is a way we can use some visual feedback, see whether we're doing the right move. Okay, so stick pointing down towards the ground. This is a really good one to turn through, like we'll describe in a minute with this drill. Rotation is the key once your swing's in a good spot to not flip. So, okay, here we go. Lovely, great one to do, gives you this Tommy Fleetwood style finish. He's a pretty good iron player, isn't he? So, absolutely, if you can fix these three things, you're gonna have your swing in the environment to not flip, which is why absolutely, like you see with the title, the real reason of why 99% of golfers do this is because they're doing things in their swing that absolutely encourage it to happen, and it needs to happen. But if you fix it, then you can do feels that help you, of course, feels and drills that help you get into a good position. So let me get to a really cool one here. Okay, now we're in position. Let's talk about a drill to get ourselves doing the movement of having some nice shaft lean. Now, this is a cool one. I doubt you've seen this drill anywhere. So really, really awesome. Now, what we do, we actually set up to the golf ball with this drill in a position that doesn't look very good. So we set up to the golf ball with the hands way behind the ball, which is then going to make the club face point a little bit left, but that's happening from hands being behind. So what we want to do, we want to still hit the ball solidly, hit it to our target. So in my case, in this net, just dead straight into the net, and do that really almost subconsciously. Because if we look at this slow-mo here, okay, what is my body going to have to do to correct this backhand position and this left face as a result? It's got to get here. And it's really cool. It happens very instinctively. So let's just do a half swing to start off with. Now look at that. That's really, really cool, isn't it? So that I didn't even try to get myself to have that nice kind of anti-flip move, having some nice shaft lean, didn't try. It just happened because my subconscious brain thought, okay, from this position, what can I do to hit the ball to target? And that is rotate the body more. We've got way more rotation, but as we rotate, that gives us more shaft lean. Got to remember, shaft lean is a byproduct of rotation of the body. So, okay, hands back, doesn't have to be a specific distance back of the ball. You can see it's kind of on the inside of my right leg there. You can see club face as a result. When we do that, points a little bit left. So I just want to hit it dead straight into my net. Start off with half swings. Lovely. Really, really cool feeling movement. So this will only work if you've got your swing in the right environment to be able to do it, like we've talked about before with these points. But this gives you a very distinct feel of what shaft lean and rotation, everything that is the opposite, of course, of flipping, feels like. So like we said, feels only work if your swing is very much in a place where it can work. So that's why a lot of videos here online aren't, I mean, they're great videos, but in my opinion, aren't complete enough to help golfers. So here we go, hands back, and then just try to hit it as straight as I can. Let's do a little bit of a fuller swing. Oh, lovely. So, awesome drill. Rep that out, but that isn't even the most important part of this video. It's what we've talked about before. This one is just purely to feel it. A lot of you, once you fix your reasons of why you're flipping, you're almost immediately, once you get comfortable with it, not going to flip as a result. Self-organization. Just like how your body is self-organized to flip, your body would do the same if it's got the environment to do so. It will not flip. But this is something to help you just improve that a little bit faster. So, if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction, just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.